Ever since the release of Pokémon Go, the primary Pokémon games have been mobile games. I had this realization after the last Pokémon Presents, where 90% of the presentation was about upcoming new mobile games and updates to already released mobile games. And then after 90% of the presentation is already concluded, you get a small trailer of the new major Pokémon release, where we learned basically nothing new. We got one new Mega Evolution revealed. That's it. That's because mobile games are the face of Pokemon now. They make inconceivably more money than the console games. Well, I still love Pokemon, so if I'm going to be interacting with the franchise, I might as well find out what's going on with what's clearly their focus now. I'm going to use this Pokémon Presents as a guide, going through and evaluating 5 of the mobile games shown in that presentation, along with Pokémon TCG Pocket, because that's their biggest mobile game. I would do them all, but this video would be way too long. Maybe next time. Make sure to subscribe. Now, while we go through all of these games, just remember Pokemon spin-offs died for this. It is no coincidence that in this presentation, we got 7 mobile game announcements and updates, and 0 for any Pokemon console game spin-offs. Mobile games are where they want to go now. Console games right now are an obligation, a way of releasing new Pokemon into the ecosystem. Everything else is focused on mobile games now. So the point of the video is to find out, are we in a better place? Was it worth it killing all of the spin-offs to have these mobile games? Should they exist at all? Or are they just another way of extracting money out of morons and making the world a worse place? I'm timestamping this video, so feel free to skip to the mobile game you want to see. And without further ado, let's get into it. Pokémon Unite, the Pokémon MOBA. Something I'm sure plenty of you didn't even know existed, given its tiny player base. I say tiny in the grand scheme of things, but I'm sure it's doing plenty fine, especially given its large impact in China, but it definitely does not compare to Pokemon Go or Pokemon TCG Pocket, which both print billions of dollars, which is pretty surprising given MOBAs are incredibly popular, League of Legends being one of the most popular games of all time, and Pokemon being the most popular IP of all time. So combine those two things together, as well as this being on mobile platforms, giving it access to the largest player base, it's pretty baffling how this wasn't a success. It's even more surprising when I tell you this might be the only game in this video that was a positive surprise. There are plenty of negative surprises, but this is the only game I went in ready to hate and actually enjoyed it. So how could it have failed? How did they fuck this up this badly? Well, despite the core game being fairly fun to play, they fucked up everything else. Now, if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm a huge Pokemon guy. I love Pokemon. The Pokemon Company has me by the nutsack. I will play or try anything they produce. But this is the first time I played this game. And the reason why is in the announcement, they already showed the game is pay to win, which is an immediate turnoff for anyone who actually cares about competitive games. This has a ranked mode. It's primarily multiplayer. It is a competitive game. So the fact that they added shitty mobile game gacha progression to a competitive game is going to prevent anyone who cares about skill expression, improvement, personal growth, you know, the kind of people who play MOBAs, because this is a simplified MOBA. It doesn't have items and builds that you buy in-game like basically every single other MOBA. Instead, you have 3 items you can equip before the game starts, and that's your build. Unlike other games where you would buy those items in-game using gold you earned during that match where everyone starts at 0 on an equal playing field, instead, you use in-game currency and real money to buy these items, and then you need to upgrade them. This game, because I'm sure it's impossible for them to keep new players at this point, gives you a fuck ton of free currency just for starting the game. And I used all of my beginner currency to buy the right items and the right build, and I could not get a single item fully upgraded. Not one. And you need 3 to play a single character. Now, there's some overlap, but there's less than you think. If you wanted to play every single role, we're talking a minimum of like 12 different items. And like I said, I couldn't get one, not even one, to the max rank. And these are extremely impactful. If your opponent has a fully upgraded meta build, and you have just the starting items, you will lose every single time. And then on top of that system, you have a new like universal buff thing where you equip a bunch of emblems and they just increase all your stats. These emblems range from bronze to silver to gold, each in increasing rarity, and you combine like 12 of them to then increase all of your stats for all of your characters. And the main way to obtain these emblems is through a gacha system, a literal gachapon. This is probably the most blatant pay to win part of the game. If you are free to play, you get basically none of these, and you need a fuck ton to make a proper build system thing. I think it was the reveal of this specifically in the initial trailer that made me never want to touch this game, despite now playing this game for a substantial amount of time. And doing so specifically to make this video, I still barely touched this because I know it's bullshit and I'm not spending money on this game. Now, the pay to win stuff is probably something that bothers me more than it does most people. I think most players are people who have never played a MOBA before and won't even know that they're getting obliterated because of some stupid equipment they don't have. So what else is holding this game back? I think a big one is that the game is advertised as, because it's what it is, a competitive multiplayer game. If you want to be even more lenient, it's casual competitive, but the game is structured like a standard gacha mobile game with 500 different currencies that all do different things, a million events that take hours of grinding to complete for bare bone rewards that basically give you nothing, multiple battle passes, not just one, many battle passes, and 300 different notifications that are all basically meaningless. Just look at me logging into the game. I have to click through window after window just to play the game, and all of these are meaningless. None of these matter. I think the people who play these extremely predatory mobile gacha games and the people who play competitive multiplayer games aren't the same people. Both are Skinner boxes, but they're different Skinner boxes. These shitty, like, dopamine drip rewards just piss me off. I feel nothing when I get 2 reward tickets from opening a loot box when I need 500 to actually get anything. That is for a different kind of bug man. So you spend 5 minutes having the game suck you off, giving you 1 penny worth of dopamine every 5 seconds, only to then jump into a ranked game and get obliterated. Do you understand how those things don't really mix? Especially with all of these currencies and all of these things to buy, you can waste your currency, permanently fucking you over so that you'll never win in your multiplayer games. Like I said, you need to get 3 items to at least level 20. Supposedly that's the thing you have to get it to, is level 20 out of 30. And using all of my beginner currency, I got 1 to 20. Only 1. So to then have the fucking battle pass give me 20 currency when it takes, I don't know, about 20,000 to do what I want, it's pretty insulting. And then combine that with all of the negative emotions with skill-based matchmaking and rank systems and all of that stuff. It should not be a surprise at all why this game can't hold players. All of that without even mentioning the gameplay, which is fundamentally flawed in its own way. Before we get into it, let me quickly explain how to actually play the game, like what the game is. Assuming you've never played a MOBA before, and even if you had, you need the explanation because this is very strange. So it is a 5v5 played on a map that consists of 2 lanes and an open middle area called the jungle. The goal of the game is to kill wild Pokemon to gain little orbs. You then take those orbs and walk them into your opponent's big circle goal thing, and you put them into the goal. Each lane has 4 goals, 2 for your opponent and 2 for you. While you're in your goal, you heal. By putting points into the goals, you destroy them until only the goal at spawn is left, which is at the end of each lane. The match ends at 5 minutes, no matter what. Whoever has more points wins. Now, this sounds very simple because it was intentionally made simple. But as soon as you start asking, what characters do you play and where do you go, it suddenly becomes extremely confusing. The main problem being there are no distinct roles. Something clearly done to simplify the game, but has actually made it more confusing, which is actually a problem with the entirety of the gameplay, is every attempt they've made to simplify the game actually makes it more confusing. So a normal MOBA has 3 distinct lanes and 5 distinct roles. Each role is fundamentally different. You would never confuse one for another. These 3 lanes then are also completely distinct. They look different. You always know which is which. The characters and roles that go to each lane are present there because of the unique characteristics of that lane. This sounds extremely obvious, but in Pokémon Unite, it is completely arbitrary who goes to what lane and what roles do what. I had to look at the wiki to even find out what's different between the top and the bottom lane. There are 2 lanes, by the way, only 2, and I had to look up what's the difference between them. So if the lanes are the same, how do you know who goes to what lane? The answer is you don't. The tutorial never tells you why you're supposed to go to a certain lane. It will just say, this character likes going to the bottom lane, and this guy likes going to the top lane, with no reason why, and there's no way to find out why without just Googling it on the internet. The very first game I played that was with other players and not bots, no one knew where to go. The only way for a new player to know what lane to go to is if people, before the match started, just pick a lane and say, hey, I'm going to bottom. And this is a feature. You are able to tell people what lane you want to go to. Nobody uses it though. So if the lanes aren't distinct, surely at least the roles are distinct, so everyone doesn't just pick the exact same type of character. No, those also aren't clear at all either. The game sort of has 4 roles. It has a jungler type role, a tank, a support, and damage. And the game makes literally no attempt to explain why you should play these roles, what makes them different from each other, where they should go and why. Nothing. Just nothing. Let me give just one example of how a normal MOBA would work. You have the duo lane. In Pokemon Unite, every lane is the duo lane. See the problem? But in a normal MOBA, you have one lane, which is the duo lane. And the 2 characters you find in the duo lane are the ADC and the support. And the reason why you have those 2 characters together is the ADC is expected to carry the game later at the end of the game, but they are very weak in the beginning. And the tank is the opposite. The support is very strong in the early game and can help the ADC get to the late game without being destroyed. It's not just about having a good team comp for team fighting where you want a front line and a back line. It's also about at the very start of the game, the distinct roles are important. Now, if both lanes are the duo lane, how do you determine who goes with who, right? From everything I read, it seems like you want to play the Pokemon who are good all of the time anyway. Because there are no items, there really isn't that much scaling at all. It's just levels. So why not have the level lead the entire game by always being strong? And even if that's not the case, and the game just teaches you wrong, and the guides I'm reading also aren't good either, how do you know who goes with who? Like, how would you figure that out without watching competitive players or something? Does the tank go with the support? Do you have tank support together? Obviously that's weird, but there are only 2 damage classes and both lanes are exactly the same, so I guess you put range damage with support maybe and close range damage with the tank? Again, it seems very arbitrary because the 2 lanes are exactly the same. Very minor difference. I think the only difference between the 2 lanes is one gets slightly more EXP and one has a slightly more important objective near it. See, they tried to simplify the game. There is no role queue. Anyone can pick whatever character they want, and no character tells you exactly where to go, right? That seems simpler. It makes the total game simpler, but it makes it harder to understand. It makes it far more clear to just have 5 roles that all go to the same place every time. and they all do distinct things, so you know exactly how to play as soon as you pick one. In Unite, the only clear role is the jungler, because it acts like any other jungler in any other MOBA. The other thing that makes it hard to know what to do, especially for new players, is they removed minions from the game. A normal MOBA has minions, which is just a line of little dudes that if you kill them, give you EXP, and they just walk forward. So if you ever don't know what to do or where to go, you just follow the minions. It is always better to be killing minions than to be doing nothing. In any other MOBA, if you're ever confused and don't know what to do, you at least know you're helping yourself and the team by following the minions. In Unite, you have no such direction because the point of the game is just to kill wild Pokemon, which are littered throughout the entire map. The goal is to get points, not destroy towers. So you just wander around and kill them and then maybe score whenever you feel like it. You could also say if you're ever confused, just go kill Pokemon because you're supposed to be doing that. But that's far more complex because there are Pokemon everywhere and there are more efficient routes and less efficient. And sometimes you need to be stealing. And in order to get the rewards from killing a Pokemon, you have to get the very last hit, meaning you can do 90% of the health of a Pokemon. Then if your opponent finishes that Pokemon off, they get all of the reward. It is not like other MOBAs where your opponent can't kill their own minions. In this, you're always at risk of having your stuff stolen. It is a common theme that it sounds simpler. It was probably simpler to create, but it makes the game more complex and harder to understand. And I think nothing represents this problem better than the fact that doing the objective is often the wrong thing to do because this game is supposed to be for new players, people who haven't played a MOBA before, or maybe even any other game before. It has extreme comeback mechanics, like worse than I've ever seen. So, despite the goal of the game being to score points, destroying your enemy's tower by scoring too many points actually puts you behind. It is a bad thing to do. Even though you have to do it to win by destroying their goal, you get nothing despite doing the objective of the game. But your opponent now gets a new wild Pokemon that they can get free EXP from, basically, that you cannot contest, or at least it's very hard to contest. It is now harder for you to score because you have to push deeper into their base to score. That new base gives them more buffs just for being inside it. So unless you are way ahead, you basically can't score at all if they're defending it, and you get literally nothing. Not one thing is rewarded to you for doing what you're supposed to be doing. Do you see how the game's kind of hard to understand? Why some players might be confused when they're doing the thing the game told them to do and it's hurting them. The comeback mechanics is probably the worst part of the game, because at least the confusing stuff you can watch a guide online and hope your teammates aren't brain dead, but this you cannot escape. So I already told you how scoring points actively helps your opponents more than it does you, but every MOBA has levels. When you kill things, you level up, and if you're a higher level, you're obviously much stronger. This feels good because you're being rewarded for playing well, but it can get very snowbally. So any game will have some sort of comeback mechanic, so you don't just instantly win the game by getting a couple kills early. There isn't really a point in having a 5-minute game if you can win the game in the first 30 seconds. A pretty normal way of solving this problem is just making it so that higher level opponents give you more EXP. Pokémon Unite, though, takes this way too far. When you kill someone who has a higher level than you, it puts you ahead of them. And not just that, if you teamed up to kill them, which is probably how you're going to have to do it because they're a higher level, they're stronger than you, it makes everyone ahead of them. So you can be 20 kills up on someone. Then their whole party comes, bum rushes you, kills you, and now their entire team is ahead of you. You could be 3 levels up on them, and in one death, they're immediately ahead of you because they get a massive chunk of EXP. You're dead for a minute, so while you're dead, they're killing stuff and leveling up even more. So despite being way ahead the entire game, you die one time, and now you're completely behind their entire team. And although it's not technically a comeback mechanic, it sort of functions that way, and it is the worst part of the game is Rayquaza. Rayquaza is a boss monster. Every MOBA has one of these. It's a major objective that both teams fight over, and whoever kills it, gets the last hit on it, gets a massive buff. The point of having these in other MOBAs is there is no set time limit. How you win is destroying your opponent's base, and the defender has a huge advantage. So if there wasn't a way to force the defenders out of their base or give you a huge buff to push into the base, it'd be very hard to end the game. Pokémon Unite always ends at 5 minutes, so there's no reason for something like that to exist, but they put it in the game anyway. And it is the most impactful major objective I've seen in any of these games. Whoever kills Rayquaza wins the game, no matter how ahead or behind they are. That's why it's sort of a comeback mechanic, because no matter how behind you are, if you can kill Rayquaza, you win the game. All of this combines together to make scoring feel pointless, because destroying goals puts your opponent ahead and Rayquaza basically determines the game anyway. It feels like the point of the game, instead of scoring, is about gaining as much EXP as possible to just be strong for the Rayquaza fight, making the whole point of the game meaningless. At least it feels meaningless. It feels bad to score. Imagine any other game where it feels bad to get points. Are you starting to see why this game would have died if it wasn't for China? Most people can't even make it into the game to begin with, but then if you do, it just feels bad to do what you're supposed to be doing. But that's not why people play Pokemon games. It never has been. Pokemon has never been known for its good gameplay. It's for the aesthetic, the IP, the soul, the Pokemans. But Unite kind of fucks this up too. The first problem is way too much Gen 1 pandering. Gen 1ers are boomers now. They aren't playing this shit. This is a MOBA for babies. The Gen 1 crowd ain't playing this shit. So it's way too much Gen 1 shit. But that's really a superficial problem. The real problem is how MOBAs make money is through skins. And the skins fucking suck. I'll just use Smite as an example because it's another kind of low budget MOBA. Look at how complex the skins are. They completely change the character. In Pokemon Unite, the skins are just a costume. It's just, oh man, look, it's Latios, but now he has a little hat. The biggest issue here is it would be so fucking easy to make these good. Just make it another Pokemon. Make the skin change what Pokemon it is. Everyone just wants to play as their favorite Pokemon. It's a lot easier to have one character that can be many different Pokemon than it is to make 1,000 different characters. Just look at Talonflame here. It could have a skin for any bird Pokemon. Nothing it is doing is unique to Talonflame. All you'd have to do is change the name of the moves and you'd be good to go. I think people would be way more excited for a skin that lets them play as Skarmory than a little hat. And the costumes, for the most part, aren't even Pokemon themed. Where is my Cynthia outfit for my clearly female Garchomp? It'd be pretty cool. A lot cooler than what they have now. Now, if you've been paying attention this whole time, you're probably pretty confused because I said this game was a positive surprise. Despite all of the problems I listed, the game is still fun, and I think it's worth playing. If you ignore all of the mobile game bullshit, the core gameplay of just hitting dudes is fun. In MOBAs, my role is jungler, and in this game, basically everything is a jungler. Junglers are supposed to kill camps, which are what wild Pokemon are, and kill people, and that's it. And when you play this game, that's all you do, is you kill camps and you kill people, and you level up a bunch, you jump people out of nowhere. It's fun. The act of trying to always get last hits and trying to steal the last hit from other people is fun. It's interesting and unique to this game. In other MOBAs, your opponent can only steal last hits from camps and objectives because your opponent can't kill their own minions. But in this, the last hit's always important, which is cool. It's interesting. It also helps that I'm playing on a computer against a bunch of people playing on their phone, so I'm just shitting on these kids. And it's fun obliterating people. And if you're not good enough to do that, the game has a solo mode where you're playing against the computer and you'll destroy the bots. Once you actually get a hang of it and you know where to go and what to do, it is fun fighting. And in this, you're always fighting. There's no minion waves, you can't be killed by towers, so there's no reason to not just be hitting people all the time. It's also still Pokemon, and I still love Pokemon. I like playing as my cool little guys fighting the other cool little guy. I hate to say it, but aesthetic really does mean a lot to me. If I like the aesthetic of a game, I'm much more likely to like the game. If you don't like Pokemon, there's probably no reason to ever play this. But I think that's fine because that's every Pokemon game. The idea and aesthetic and designs of Pokemon are just so good that it uplifts any product. And that's why it's so sad that spin-offs are dead. But this game is doing what I would want from a spin-off. What I want is a unique experience, and this game does play differently than any other MOBA I've ever played. So even though it's profoundly flawed, I am glad it exists, and I would recommend trying that. And I speak only for this game and none of the other mobile games, that although I do like the old spin-offs much better, if the other mobile games were of this quality, things wouldn't be so bad. Pokémon Friends, the newest Pokemon mobile game and the inspiration for this video, is pretty much exactly what you think it is. There are no surprises here. If you've seen 5 seconds of gameplay, you know exactly what you're getting into. It's a brain trainer game for young children. It has a free and paid version, but it's not like these other mobile games. It's not a freemium game. The free version is just a demo. With the free version, you get 3 puzzles a day, and that's it. The free version also has a more limited variety of puzzles, with the free version having 10, and the paid version adding another 20 on top of that. Now, if you look for this game on the App Store, it has like a 2 rating, and basically all of the negative reviews are talking about what I just told you, that you can only play 3 puzzles a day, which is, I don't know, like a minute of gameplay, and the puzzle variety is extremely limited. I'm not really sure what people are expecting though, because this isn't a freemium game. It doesn't have anything to buy except 2 DLC packs, which each add 10 more puzzles. So if they gave you any more for free, there would be no way for them to make any money. This is just a regular game, although very, very, very basic. So if you actually end up shelling out the money, what are you getting? You're getting 30 puzzles that each level up from 0 to 9. Every time you play a puzzle, it levels up, getting slightly harder each time. And you can complete these puzzles as much as you want, no 3-a-day limit. And by completing 3 puzzles in a row, you get some yarn that you can then turn into a gacha plush animal. You can then use that gacha plush animal to decorate a room, and that's the whole game. There's nothing else. I guess there are quests you can complete where you just give those plushes to people to then get more furniture. But that's really it. There's nothing else. For 10 bucks, I don't really know what people are expecting. I played for a couple hours and was able to get 1 or 2 puzzles to level 6 before I was done, because this game is definitely not made for adults. There's a reason I called it a brain trainer and not a puzzle game. These are miniature puzzles designed like how you would do an IQ test. Like, it's mainly about pattern recognition and imagining shapes in your head, turning 3D objects with your imagination, the kind of stuff they make children do while they're developing and people with brain injuries. It is definitely not intended for an adult to try and play it all in one sitting like I did. I was losing my mind. I purposely played it in the morning because I thought it would wake me up to do some puzzles, but I was just falling asleep. I could not stop yawning. I can't imagine any of these puzzles taking more than a few seconds to complete, even on their hardest difficulty. Saying that though, it is very funny how many of these puzzles you see in AAA games made for adults in this baby brain training game. In fact, this might be perfect for adult Pokemon fans, because I remember a Twitter thread about people being like, you can't imagine Apple in your head. You're just lying. What are you guys talking about? I see nothing. And I looked it up, and the 2 people saying that were Pokemon fans. Like, they make Pokemon YouTube videos. So maybe this game would be perfect. With a little training, you guys can imagine the apple in your head and become a real person. The intended way to play this game is a little bit at a time, just like the free version. When you buy the game, you can remove the daily limit, or you can just extend it. That's clearly the intention. They don't want you to play it all at once because you'll lose your mind. It's a quick exercise for children and those with brain damage. So since it's a regular game and not one of these freemium products, is it worth buying? Well, if you're an adult man, obviously not. No way. 0% chance. What is wrong with you? Why do you even think about it? It's not even a good deal. I know I said it's 30 mini games and they go from 0 to 9, but those aren't all unique puzzles. Each level actually shares some puzzles. You could probably get the equivalent product, not Pokemon themed, for about $1 on the App Store. But if you have a kid and they like Pokemon, but they don't want to do what is essentially homework unless it's Pokemon themed, then it's probably worth it. Like, these are real IQ test type training exercises, right? It is unarguably healthy for a developing brain to do stuff like this. And even then, 3 puzzles a day I think are good enough. I probably wouldn't play much more anyway. Like I said, at the 2-hour mark, I was losing my mind. I was just staring straight through the screen. Now, you can emulate this game, but it doesn't work entirely properly. Of course, I emulated it completely legally. I actually own 900 copies of this game. The touchscreen to mouse input is pretty wonky. It's workable for most of it, but there are 2 mini games that don't work at all. I have no idea why. It's not about clicking or dragging or anything, because that seems to work in other mini games, but they just don't function at all. So keep that in mind if you decide to emulate this. So back to the point of the video. Is this worth having all of the real video game Pokemon spin-offs die? Of course not. This is mobile game slop at its finest. This is exactly the kind of thing that you see in a direct and it just makes you sigh because it's like, oh, they have nothing good to show. Now, does it deserve to exist? I guess so. It's fine. If it gets some kids to do their brain exercises and they end up slightly smarter, that's probably good enough for it to be worth existing. Pokemon Cafe Remix. Now, this is the real dog shit I was looking for. This is peak mobile game slop. Admittedly, it was a bit of a roller coaster. When I first started playing it, I'm like, this isn't even a video game. It's brain dead, wholesome games, Xanax fueled time waster. And then I started playing a little bit more, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see the vision here. There's a bit of complexity, some strategy, some skill, and then after about an hour of playtime, I never want to see this ever again. After you've done, I don't know, maybe 3-4 missions, you've seen it all. There's nothing left. And now you have to do about 1,000 more in a row to accomplish anything. Okay, but enough complaining. What actually is this game? So the goal of the game is you make little coffees for the Pokemon, and you do that by picking up a dismembered Pokemon head and dragging it into Pokemon heads of the same type. You have a set time limit for you to do this, and your combo is based on how many of these Pokemon heads you can stitch together. The secondary goal is then to use these combos to break up food ingredient part things. The bigger your combo, the more of these skill balls will be produced, and you can use those to break the ingredients a lot faster. And some can only be broken by these skills. And that's the whole game. The levels consist of breaking a certain number of ingredients or earning a certain score. And once you've done that, you feed the Pokemon their coffee, you get some points, and do that enough times, and you unlock that Pokemon as a new character. Not that the characters feel any different at all, but they do have arbitrary specialties. So you want a bunch to be able to complete the missions quicker. I guess their skills are slightly different. Like this one is a big square, and this one is a big heart. Incredible. Nah, dog. This game ain't it. Sure, the art style's okay. It's sweet, I'll admit it, but it's the kind of sweet that gives you diabetes. I can just tell that the target audience is women who don't have children, and never will. And this is one insanely mobile game-ass mobile game. It has multiple battle passes, a premium subscription, a gacha pull for characters. It has excessive wait times. It also has multiple currencies, and it even has an energy system. You can't even play as much as you want. Not that you'd want to. This is definitely not the type of game you're supposed to play for hours at one time. You'll lose your fucking mind, just like me. This seems to be a consistent theme, by the way. It's almost like that's every shitty mobile game on the planet. Cafe Remix also has some of the worst events I've ever seen in a game. Normally with mobile game events, you get a bunch of stuff to do, some new characters, quests of some kind. We got a whole ass trailer for this in the Nintendo Direct just to say, hey, you can spend some money and try and pull Lapras. Whoa, cool. That's the whole event. No cool missions, nothing. No special levels, no big gimmick. It's fucked. This game is complete slop. It should not exist. Pokemon Shuffle had to die for this, which was Kino. Whenever I'm playing these mobile games, I'm thinking to myself, if this was a regular spin-off that you just paid $30 for with none of the freemium bullshit, would I play it? This, absolutely not. The mobile game energy system is there to make sure you don't burn yourself out of the game and hate it. It's a lot easier to put up with slop if it's only for 5 minutes at a time. But when you play it for an hour straight, this game is a low-effort trap meant for wine-aunts to waste their money on while drunk. Not a real game for any sane person to play for any real length of time. So burn this shit. Moving on, Pokémon Masters EX. This is the most mobile game of all the mobile games. It plays exactly like every other gacha game ever made. If there was a gacha game bingo card, you wouldn't just get bingo, you would fill the entire board. It of course has multiple different currencies, multiple different banners, limited time banners. If you're a sane human being who plays real games, you probably don't even know what a banner is. A banner represents the available guys, I guess in this case it's Pokemon characters, that you could possibly receive from what is essentially a loot box. So you put in your 100 gems, because like I said, this is the most generic mobile game ever, so of course the premium currency is gems. God forbid it be something Pokemon themed, and just maybe you might receive the waifu you want. Pulling your favorite character isn't good enough though. Just like every other gacha game, you have to pull multiples of your favorite character to fully upgrade them. You're not done there though. Just like every other gacha game, there are many different ways you can improve the strength of a character, all of which use different currencies, different upgrade materials that you have to grind for. In order to grind those materials, you're going to either have to wait a period of time, which could be skipped with premium currency, use up your limited energy, because of course this game also has limited energy, to do pointless missions over and over and over again that you end up just auto battling anyway. Yeah, that's how you know you have some good ass gameplay, that the game has to play itself or people would quit. So just real quick, before we get into what the actual game is, I'm going to list off everything that makes this game completely generic with nothing new to offer anyone. So it has collectible waifus, multiple banners, limited time banners, multiple currencies, a differentiation between free currency and currency paid for, grindable materials, an energy system, improvable characters that use multiple different currencies and time-wasting activities, limited time events, personal story missions, limited story missions, and don't get excited by the way, these story missions are a couple lines of dialogue. A meaningless, uninteresting story that is just an excuse to do the equally meaningless and uninteresting gameplay. A singular way of playing the game. What you see right now is exactly what you get the entire game. Is that enough? Did I get everything? Probably not. There's probably more that makes this even more generic, but I haven't played that many gacha games. In fact, I regret playing any of them. I'm just trying to make it very clear that this is the bottom of the barrel. What makes it disappointing is not that it's incompetent, it's that it's too competent. It is exactly what gacha freaks want because it plays like every other gacha game. But to a normal human who has no bug parts and no bug brain, I find Pokemon Cafe Remix, a piece of shit that isn't even a real video game, far more interesting than this. So what actually is the game? How does it play? Well, you spend money and then you get a character, and then you spend more money to get more characters. Okay, other than spending money, what's the game? Well, each Pokemon character, gym leaders, former protagonists, some villains, each come with a partner Pokemon, and you and your Pokemon guys team up to fight in 3v3 battles. You have a charging energy bar that lets you use moves every once in a while, and these are regular Pokemon moves. From what I understand, you know, my limited understanding, I'm not playing professional Pokemon Masters EX, if that even exists. It just works like regular Pokemon. In order to beat one of the super bosses, I used a regular Pokemon strategy of spamming Calm Mind grind and then using stored power, all while under a grassy terrain I set up in order to not die. So there is strategy here. It's not like it doesn't exist. It's just in order to get that strategy, you have to randomly pull it by spending real money. And because it's a gacha game, you can also skip all of that strategy by spending even more money. Like, I could set up a balanced team that's super effective on these guys and resist these other guys, or I could use up all of my currency to get all my guys to level 140 in one shot everything. This is part of why I consider gacha games to be like peak Bugman shit, is it misses the entire point of RPGs, what makes them interesting and fun. I want to earn the levels. The level up itself is not the interesting part. It's earning it. It's fighting for it. It is fun to slowly progress, to fight stronger and stronger opponents over time. It's not fun to instantly level up to level 140 and one-shot everything. Where is the satisfaction? Do you genuinely feel satisfied when you spent $100 to max out your character and now you don't have to try at all? The disappointing thing is there is a video game here. It's not great. It's definitely worse than regular Pokemon, but it's similar. Why would you engage with it when you can just spend money? Or if you can't spend money, you just waste time grinding for hours and hours and hours to just upgrade everything to max. And what's the point of doing any of that in the first place? You're not doing it for the gameplay, because when you upgrade your character to the max, you're skipping the gameplay. You're not doing it for the story, I promise you that. It's not good. You would hope that they would just hire an anime writer and you get to play through anime episodes with your favorite characters. But no, you get a couple lines of dialogue from caricatures, no, not characters, caricatures, in between shitty battles. And story-wise, that's all there's worth talking about, are those small interactions between the characters you already like, because the overarching story, pointless as always. It's a generic evil team, go collect badges, they're stealing Pokemon, badges are more important though. You've seen it 1,000 times, except now it's written even worse, and there's no cool world to explore. So if it's not for the gameplay and it's not for the story, what's the point of doing anything? Well, what you hear all the time is it's the end game. It's the end game. The gameplay gets good in the end. Well, I just don't fucking buy it. Because just think of what you have to do to get to the end game. So you grind through materials, max out all your characters, bum rush through the story, and now you've made it to the end game, ignoring all of the time you just wasted. What is the point now? What is the progression? Make your characters even stronger? And then what is that for? And you can't tell me the gameplay itself is what you're doing it for, because you always have to have in the back of your mind that, oh, I'm struggling right now. I could get better at the game, or maybe come up with a better strategy, or you could spend more money. And the problem is, sometimes spend more money is the only answer. So what they expect you to do, waste your time, max out your characters, bum rush story just to get to gameplay that may only be possible if you spend more money. That's what you're looking forward to. I'm sure it might be possible to beat some epic super bosses with under-leveled characters, but you still have to spend money to unlock those characters who make those strategies possible. Gacha games like this cannot provide what I want out of video games, which is earning. I want to earn things. The game cannot provide you with anything earned, because then you wouldn't spend money. They want the rewards to come from spending money, not from working hard or being good. The best they can do is give you worthless currencies to upgrade the characters you then already had to pay for. And of course, you could skip that grind too by wasting money. So what actually is the point of all of this? Why are people doing this? Well, I explained it right in the beginning. It's waifus, of course. It's collecting your favorite guys and pretending to be friends with them. To some people, in order to make a connection to something, there has to be a sense of ownership. So it's not just that you like your favorite character, you also have to own them. And then you get to go on pretend dates with them and talk to them and have fun with them because they're your friend. Now, I find this pathetic in a way I can't even describe, but gacha games are very popular. A lot of people are like this. Nobody is playing any of these gacha games for the gameplay or the story. It's the collection aspect itself. In fact, the games with the good story or the good gameplay end up getting shut down. World Flipper, my love, goodbye. I mean, it's been effective to keep this game around while many of others have died. I think it was smart to have one game that tapped into the actual Pokemon characters. Obviously, Pokemon are very well designed, at least the good ones, and everyone loves them, but the Pokemon character designs are just as good, if not better. It's just too bad that all gacha games have to be so dog shit. I can't even really say that this game did those designs justice anyway. I mean, did Rosa always look this dead-eyed? There is clearly no soul there. If I saw this in real life, I would run. I think that's enough about this piece of shit. Should you play it? No. God, no. Of all the games to avoid, this one's at the top of the list. If you want a pretend girlfriend, just use ChatGPT. Now, if this was a regular video game, would I play it? Kind of a hard thing to imagine, given it's so saturated with mobile game bullshit. But I guess it's just, would you play Pokemon if it was 3v3 the whole time? Each Pokemon only has 4 moves permanently, no getting new ones, and you can't switch. No, I don't think I would. I think this game should be deleted, not just from the world, but also everyone's memory, and the developers should be burning in hell. I guess that one I don't have to wish for, because that's a will. They will be burning in hell, along with all other gacha game developers. Anyway, alright, it's finally time to start talking about Pokémon Go, the first ever Pokemon mobile game, and what I would call the beginning of the end. Pokémon Go was insanely popular, more popular than they could have possibly imagined. And if it wasn't for that popularity, we probably wouldn't be getting all of these mobile games. So if you're like me and you blame the death of spin-offs with the rise of mobile games, then you can blame this for that. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the last decade, you already know what Pokemon Go is. But just in case, I'll give you a brief rundown. Pokemon Go is a game where you walk around in real life with your phone out, and Pokemon will spawn around you. You tap on their 3D model, and then you play a short Pokeball throwing minigame. You can use some berries to make it easier, maybe put a little spin in the throw, but not very complicated. And that's all we had. When the game released, that was the whole game, and we loved it. We all loved it. I won't lie, I played it when it came out, and I loved it. But why I hate this game has almost nothing to do with the game itself, and is instead what it has done to Pokemon. I would be okay with the game if it was about catching them all. You know, one of every guy, completing your collection, but it's not. Because if that's what it was about, the gameplay would eventually have to end. And that's not how you make these games. They have to be made so that you play them forever, so you can always be spending money. So instead of catching one Charmander and training that Charmander, becoming friends with that Charmander, evolving all the way into Charizard through a long journey of some kind, you are now friends for life. It has meaning. Instead, you catch 500 Charmander, pick the best one, kill the rest of them, grinding them into candy, feeding those candies to the one Charmander who gets to live, and that's how you evolve it. And what's crazy is I already made a video talking about this, and there were actually some dipshits in the comment section who said, Pokemon's not about making friends with your Pokemon, it's about catching as many as you can. Remember, gotta catch them all? First of all, you've gotta tell me what it's like not having a human soul. Is being an insect any fun? But is beyond fucking stupid, because that catchphrase comes from the anime, an anime literally about making friends with Pokemon. Just listen to the fucking theme song, you dipshit. And even then, it's about catching one of every Pokemon, not 100 of each. In only one instance in the anime did Ash catch multiple of a Pokemon, and it was 50 Tauros, and I don't remember him killing them. In fact, not only does Ash never accomplish his goal of catching them all, he will actively get rid of Pokemon if it is for their benefit. He releases Butterfree, you insect fuck. Pokemon has always been about making friends with the Pokemon. They are pets. That's what they're supposed to be. If you throw your pet in the garbage, you're a fucking subhuman. And did you forget Pokemon's a video game? Nobody plays the video game like that. Catching them all is already extremely rare. Almost no one does it. It's ludicrously hard in most of the games. The regular way to play is to make a team of 6. They are your friends. You go through the whole game with them. You grow with them. You like them. And you save them forever. Why are people people so proud of not having a soul, of not being able to care about something that's not real. None of it's real. Your life has no fucking value. You have accomplished nothing. You have zero purpose, and you should... What were we talking about? I think what I'm trying to say is Pokemon Go transformed Pokemon from being an analog for pets to being a worthless commodity that you collect 10,000 of until you get the perfect one. It's Funko Pops. They made Pokemon Funko Pops. Now, this type of stuff always existed in Pokemon, but it was only the competitive crowd, because competitive players were always catching a million guys or breeding a million guys to try and get perfect IVs, the perfect nature, stuff like that. But that was a tiny portion of the community who are all subhumans. Pokemon Go is the most popular Pokemon thing, so that is the new Pokemon, is worthless Funko Pops. We might as well talk about the game a little bit, but my point is, no, this game shouldn't exist. I wish it was never made. The world would be a better place without it. So moving on to the actual gameplay, along with walking around and catching Pokemon, you're also going to what are called Pokestops, which is basically any real world anything that is notable of any kind. It could even just be like a church or a McDonald's. You go there, you spin a little thing, and you get free items. This is how you get the Pokeballs to catch the Pokemon. As long as you live near enough of these, you'll never have to buy Pokeballs, because of course you could buy these with real money. Why not? Which brings up my other main problem with Pokemon Go, is we already talked about how it's soulless when it comes to the Pokemon themselves, but it's also a game made for and caters to soulless people, because the main benefactors of these free items are termites living in their giant termite mound. It's city people, these bug motherfuckers who live next to 10 million people, which affects the spawn rate of Pokemon, and it's a city, so it has more, quote-unquote, notable places, so a ton of Pokestops, so they get all the free items and all the Pokemon spawn. Now, you think what the game would be about is, going for a walk, getting outside, getting healthy, but no, it's for obese city people to catch a billion Pokemon from their apartment building that looks like shit, smells like shit, they live in squalor, and it costs $10,000 a month. I watched a video once. It was a guy in New York City chilling out, having a good time. He got sucker punched by some drunk guy. His head landed in the road. 10, maybe 20 people walk by his unconscious body before a car runs over his head. That's what it means to be a city person. They have no soul, no care for each other, no human decency of any kind. Fuck you, city people. Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, Pokemon. So they added battling finally. It's the most basic battling ever. Way worse than Pokémon Masters EX. You just tap as fast as you can before you get your super move, where you do an extremely basic minigame where you try to hit the orbs. Incredible. God forbid you just put regular Pokemon battling in my Pokemon game. It's extremely simple. It could be ported to anything, but no, we have to get bullshit. This took years to come out, by the way. What this does mean, though, is people can make their own gyms, which is kind of cool. You get some premium currency by holding a gym. I didn't mention it before, but there are teams in Pokemon Go, and this never really meant anything until now, where if someone on your own team holds a gym, you can put your Pokemon there to help defend it, and if it's an enemy gym, you can take it and be mean to those people. So although the battling is shit, at least there's a point. There are also raid battles where everyone teams up to fight a legendary Pokemon. Gotta train all the insect people to properly respond to the queen's pheromones, all gather together in their bug place doing bug shit. I don't really have anything else to say about this. The game becomes profoundly uninteresting when you realize the optimal way to play is not to go for a walk and get healthy interacting with real Pokemon in the real Pokemon world, but instead either live in a city and play it from your cockroach-infested bedroom, or play it as the passenger in a car. Not gonna pretend like I didn't love it though. There was a time I loved it. That brief period, running around, jumping fences, breaking into people's backyards to catch a Snorlax was genuinely great, but it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth giving up every other spin-off. It wasn't worth every Pokemon Presents being a waste of time now, because they have to get through 30 minutes of shitty mobile game updates just to get to the real content people want to see. I don't even know how many people still play Pokemon Go. It's definitely not top billing anymore. Our next and final mobile game makes way more money. So enough talking about this shit. It's time for Pokémon TCG Pocket. It's finally time to talk about Pokémon TCG Pocket, the only game I put substantial time into prior to making this video. And saying I put substantial time into it is an understatement. I've been playing this game from the beginning, and I mean the real beginning. It was released 1 month early in New Zealand, and I used a VPN to play the game early, and I have been playing it actively since then. So I can say with complete confidence that DNA, the developers of the game, kind of dropped the ball. In the beginning, I think the game was great, just a little bare bones, but they've really failed to make the game any better. In fact, I think it's gotten worse over time, to the point where now, really all I do is open the app to get my 2 free packs, and then it's completely out of my mind till I get another 2 free packs. But before I talk about how they fucked it up, let me explain what the game is and why it was great to begin with. So Pokémon TCG Pocket is a collectible card game app. And it's important to make that distinction because every other digital card game aren't collectible cards. They don't have that same feeling. They're primarily about the gameplay. But the Pokemon Company knew that no one plays the Pokemon card game. They only buy the cards to look at the pretty pictures. So when they made a digital client, they had to focus on that. So the game gives you 2 free packs every single day without spending any paid or free currency, and you get this huge song and dance, tons of flashes, lots of animations showing you getting these cool cards. And all of the interesting or valuable cards come in multiple rarities, from common to full art to 3D model that looks terrible, all the way into the immersive card, a card that plays an animation when you pull it. Things that serve no gameplay function, but makes it fun to collect while making it easier to get cards that you want to play. In other games, the immersive full art would be a exclusive card that you may need to build a deck. In this, it's entirely optional, but it still looks cool and is fun to pull. And the goal of this aspect of the game is to complete the pack, to pull every card in the pack. And for free-to-play players, it's to pull every diamond rarity card, or what is basically every card at its lowest rarity. Something you would even want to do if you only like playing the game and don't care about the collection aspect, because this is what it means to have every available card for you to make any deck you want. Now, new packs come out once a month, so you basically have 30 days or 60 free packs to pull every card in the set. Now, you also get a bunch of free currency to pull packs for, so it's more than that. So I can confidently say that not only can you accomplish this, it's fairly easy for a free-to-play player to complete a set before even finishing the month. This is because pulling cards is also supplemented by a separate system called Wonder Picks, where you get to pick a card from someone else's pack. Just one, but sometimes you get what you want. And every time you pull a pack, you get points that you can use to get a specific card. Now, this is extremely inefficient, so if you're not spending money, you can probably only do this once. But all these things together made the collection aspect of the game extremely good from the very beginning. There's a reason that despite not really liking the game anymore, I still pull my free packs every day. Like most things in this game, they have kind of fucked this aspect up a little bit. Not game breaking, but they have made the pack pulling experience worse. And it's through the addition of shinies, which is crazy. Everyone loves shinies. How could they have possibly fucked that up? Well, initially they didn't. The original set with shinies was called Shining Revelry, and it just added shinies as a new rarity that you could get the same cards as. So the new card in the set was Lucario, so you could get Lucario as either its basic rarity, its full art, its 3D model art, or as a shiny. And no matter what, you're happy because it's a new card and you want the new cards from the new set. Well, now the shinies aren't from the new set. In the new pack, you get cards from the old set if you pull a shiny. You know, the cards you already have, and this card takes up your rare slot. So it feels bad to pull a shiny and then it be a card you already have and is basically unplayable even if you didn't have it, because it's an old card. And this works like every other card game where new cards are just better than old cards most of the time. It also makes it harder to complete the set, especially for free-to-plays, because this is just one more rarity that does not contribute to you you completing the set. And it obviously means you have to spend way more money if you want to complete the full set, because that's just more cards that are even more rare that you now have to get. So they just feel bad in every single way. For the vast majority of people, it doesn't count toward completion. And for the people who like to play the game, the cards are worthless and you're just upset that you didn't pull the new cool cards that you want to make a deck out of. Now they've kind of counteracted this by making completion easier in other ways. Wonder picks now sometimes have a second chance. There's now trading in the game that wasn't initially there, but you can only trade cards of previous sets, so that doesn't really help in this scenario because no one cares about the old cards when there are new cards, especially when the new cards are better than the old ones. So if you play the game, the old cards are mostly dead anyway. But I keep talking about playing cards, so I might as well get into the gameplay. Now, as a brief overview, you have 3 types of cards: Pokemon cards, trainer cards, item cards. Trainer cards you can only use once per turn. Item cards and trainer cards just do what they say. You read them and now you know what they do. Pokemon, you must place one onto the field at the start of the game. You have an active slot, which is what can attack or be attacked, and 3 backup slots. If you have no Pokemon on the field, you lose. The goal of the game is to get 3 points. Killing a regular Pokemon is 1 point. Killing an EX is 2 points. You use energies to attack. You place an energy on a Pokemon and then it can do its attack. You get 1 energy per turn, starting on the 2nd turn. You can also use these energy to retreat, switching out your active for someone on your bench. This kills the energy. They are gone. And that's it. That's the whole game. Any complexity comes from the cards themselves and what they do. The rules, very simple. Now, my card game of choice is Yu-Gi-Oh! I have over 1,000 hours in Master Duel, and I hate it. It's the worst game ever made. So when this came out, I was very happy to play it, and the simplicity is part of what makes it good. Coming from a game where you can combo for 5 minutes straight and ends on turn 3 basically every game, it was nice to have something where you just play a card and hit them. But despite being fun, the game still has some fundamental problems from the very beginning that you would hope they would have addressed at some point. The biggest problem in the game being that you always start with a Pokemon. No matter what you do, the game will always give you 1 Pokemon at the start of the game so you can place it on the board in the very beginning. What this means is if there is an optimal start, which there always will be, you are incentivized to play as few Pokemon as possible. So you are more likely to start with the one you want. In other games, this would be disincentivized because you would just draw a hand with no Pokemon in it. But because the game is programmed to always give you 1, there is no punishment for only playing 1 Pokemon. This is made worse by the fact that as more sets come out, better and better item cards and trainer cards exist, incentivizing you further to play less Pokemon in your Pokemon game. Another fundamental issue is that going second is significantly stronger than going first. By going second, you get to both place an energy first and attack first, since you need energy to attack. Most games would make it so that one player gets energy first and the other player gets to attack first, right? That's almost how all of these games work, that the person going first cannot attack, but they get whatever resource quicker. You can place a land first. In Yu-Gi-Oh, you get to set up all your interactions first. But in this game, the player who gets the resource first also gets to attack first. And the player who goes first really can't do anything because there are no interruptions. It's not like you're setting up a board to destroy your opponent on their first turn. It would make far more sense if the player going first got to place their energy first, but didn't get to attack. That's how every other game works. And this has been a problem for the game's entire lifespan until just this month with the introduction of baby Pokemon, which don't need energy to attack, meaning the player going first doesn't get to place energy first, but does get to attack first. But this comes with its own problems because baby Pokemon have no health, so you can just kill them instantly. You see these 2 fundamental problems combined to create what is called the 18 trainer deck, in which you play 2 copies of 1 Pokemon, because you can play 2 copies of every card, and 18 non-Pokemon cards. This was always done with a water type because Misty would allow you to attach energy on your first turn, meaning you could attack first first and kill your opponent before they could even do anything, and you would always be guaranteed to start with the water type of your choice. This was always playable, but not the best deck until two cards came out, Darkrai and Giratina. And Darkrai Giratina has been the best deck since they came out months ago. And let me just describe these cards really quick. Giratina lets you attach a psychic energy to it instead of attacking. Do you see how this solves that first turn problem? Because you can't attack on your first turn anyway, so you're always ahead in energy, whether you go first or second. Because if you go second, then you get 2 energy in 1 turn. Then Darkrai reads, if you attach a dark energy, deal 20 damage to your opponent. So you put dark energy on your Darkrai while Giratina ramps itself, so you're doing damage without having to attack. And then once Giratina is fully set up, you just one-shot everything till you win. Giratina solves the going first being bad problem all on its own. The deck takes advantage of the fact that you will always start with the Pokemon, so you only have to put the 2 best cards in the game in your deck, and you're always guaranteed to get one of them. But what really makes this the best deck in the game, completely unstoppable, is that third fundamental problem, that there is no interaction. The only thing you can do to disrupt this combo, to stop them from getting Giratina online, is either accomplishing your gameplay faster, killing them first, which is only possible through good luck because these are the best cards in the game, or there are some free switch cards that force your opponent to switch out. Too bad there's a trainer card that counteracts that, and their deck plays 16 trainer cards, so they can play every single card that counters anything you want to do. And this is why I don't like playing the game anymore. And it has nothing to do with this deck specifically. It's what the deck represents, because you really don't see it that often because it's boring. Primary gameplay of Pokemon TCG Pocket is just who can ramp their big guy faster and one-shot all of their opponent's guys. There is basically no diversity in gameplay. The only difference is how you get your big guy online and how much damage they do. Some take longer to set up but do more damage. Others get set up faster and do less damage. Some are guaranteed to get set up but take a long time. Others can be set up very fast, but it's entirely luck based. Does this sound very interesting? To me, it seems profoundly lame. This is made worse by the fact that EXs give 2 points when you kill them, but you only need 3 points to win. Meaning, if you kill 1 non-EX and 1 EX, it's the same as killing 2 EXs. So why not just play only EX Pokemon, making 90% of the card pool entirely useless? It's just lame. I want to play Pokemon in my Pokemon game. Why is it optimal to only play 2 Pokemon in an entire deck? Now, this problem always existed in the game, but the game was much slower at the start, giving you more opportunity to use silly strategies or just kill someone by hitting them with a little guy a bunch before they could ever get set up. Now you can draw your entire deck by turn 2. In Yu-Gi-Oh, you have what are called pet deckers. It is people who only play their one deck forever. And I mean for years, decades even. The reason you have this is some Yu-Gi-Oh decks are so unique that you can only get that same gameplay experience by playing that specific deck. Pet deckers can't even exist in this game because every deck plays basically exactly the same. There are maybe 3 variations of deck, and that's it. Through the game's entire lifespan, it's either set up big guy who one-shots everyone, or attack with little guy to hopefully win before they get set up. I honestly think this wouldn't be that big of a problem if the game was still slow. But with it being fast, you can't even really try anything else. You'll lose before you can even have any fun. It really doesn't help that the ranked mode is just kind of ass. You get almost no reward for it. The difference between playing 100 games and playing 300 games is like 1 pack pull worth of free currency. Not worth it at all. The rank grind isn't even hard. You can get to max rank with less than a 50% win rate. It just takes forever, which I understand because this is by far the most luck-based card game I've ever played, which is fine if it wasn't so lame all the time. I'd feel better about losing to a coin flip if it didn't happen in one turn. I'd like to at least play the game a little bit. Well, if you don't want to play against meta shit, there is a single player mode, which is okay, but has gotten a lot lamer over time. The problem is the AI is really dumb, so there's no reason you shouldn't be able to beat them every time using a real deck. But the game has challenges, and those challenges, if you complete them, you get free currency, which is cool, and they'll make you do things like use Pokemon that are all weak to what their deck's about. Like if they have an electric deck, they make you use only water Pokemon. The problem with this is they've kept those same challenges, but they've gotten way easier over time because there are just more cards out. Making a water deck fight an electric deck isn't hard if all of your water types are actually ice types and none of them are weak to electric. And the challenges were only interesting because they made you make a new deck, think about the cards you have, but now you're just back to bullying the AI. The game also has had events, but these have always been extremely lame. It's just fighting the AI again, except without the cool challenges, and by beating the AI, you get a pack that's a promo pack. The problem is the promo packs have only shit cards in them. None of them have ever been playable, and bullying the AI over and over again isn't interesting. I don't understand why all of these mobile games have had such bad events. The point of an event is to add gameplay variety. Yet all of these events, you played the game the exact same way as you would any other time. It's not interesting at all. The only exception is Pokémon Unite, which does actually have different game modes for events. Like this event has volleyball. It's not a good game mode, but it's something. It's fun to do something different. Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Sucks ass. But the events let you play something slightly different with the same cards that you like, just a little more limited to make the game more interesting. And we've gotten up to 4 different events in a month before. It wouldn't be that big of a deal for Pokemon TCG Pocket to have one multiplayer event that's like, oh, you can only play water cards. Or how about a deck where you can only play Pokemon in it so that I can play more Pokemon in my Pokemon game. It's so fucking lame that it's stupid to play more than 2 Pokemon in your Pokemon deck. And this isn't just Darkrai Giratina. Every single deck is 3 lines of Pokemon at most. Any more than that is just stupid. Anyway, that's enough complaining. Should this game exist? Honestly, I do think so. Even though I don't really like it anymore, I still probably put several hundred hours into it, which is enough. And I do believe every card game should have a digital client. I'm sick of those fucking physical loot box pieces of shit. I don't want to see you fucks in real life. Now, is it worth killing every spin-off? Fuck no. Dude, the Pokemon trading card games, like the actual video games that were on like the GBA, were way better than this shit. They were fucking awesome. Definitely not worth it to kill those, but that was the last game of the video. There are no more. There are more mobile games, just no more that are actively being updated. And what did we learn? Well, what you should have learned is that this is Pokemon now. There are more Pokemon mobile games in development than real Pokemon games. This is the brand now. They make more money than actual Pokemon games. So are you happy? Have things gotten better? Have you watched this video and been like, wow, Pokemon's in a real good state right now? I don't really think it's possible to make it this far in the video and actually think that. Probably would have left at the bug part. So I'm only talking to my fellow haters here. The state of Pokemon is much worse here than it is with the main games. Because personally, I don't give a fuck about the main games anymore. Fan games have been doing that better for years. But there is no replacement for the good old spin-offs. It is much easier to make a regular Pokemon game as a fan because of stuff like RPG Maker or ROM hacking than it is to make a full-fledged spin-off. And the spin-offs have always been better than the main games. I'm sorry, my favorite Pokemon game is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. None of the main shit. So it's really sad to see it go, especially when it's getting replaced by complete shit. The only redeemable game is Pokémon Unite. That's the only one I've had fun with, and I'm still playing it. Obviously, I started making this video a little bit ago, so it's pretty impressive that it's the only game I'm still playing. I don't really count me opening a couple packs as playing Pokemon TCG Pocket anymore. So this time you get the Doomer ending. There'll be more Pokemon mobile games. They'll be even shittier than last time. They'll keep ruining every Pokemon presentation, and there's nothing we can do about it because they make billions of dollars because people are stupid and will spend money on anything because they have no soul. I'll end this video the same way I ended the last last one. I'm gonna keep playing fan games. Fuck the Pokemon Company. You guys suck. Subscribe to look forward to my ZA video. I doubt it'll change my mind on the state of Pokemon, but maybe it'll be interesting. Anyway, bye.